I think we did it. And I think we're here. Salutations, my friends. Excuse me. And thank you for tuning in to another edition of Factions of Freedom. I'm your host, Noisera, Freedom Faction, whichever one you prefer. And this is show number 1623, season 16, episode 23. And I have titled this episode, Degenerate Mafias Protect Purebloods and Non-Human Technologies. Yeah, we've got a bit of a bit of a salad of an episode. Whole lot of things going on right now. We've got New York Mayor Zohran Mamdani basically saying that he's going to arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he steps onto American soil. We've also got a lot of information coming out about the Democratic Socialist of America this week. The DSA seems like they're taking over, and the old school Democrats are genuinely confused about the monster that they have created. We're going to be talking about that as well. Their plans to abolish America, to eliminate capitalism, and to get rid of the U.S. Senate. They're not even hiding it anymore, what their intentions are. We've also got Tulsi Gabbard's pedophilic brother arrested for luring children to a hotel room with gum and money. That's something we have to talk about. Hunter Biden also making the waves, talking about the gay mafia, the gay Republican mafia over the weekend. That just plays into the degenerate mafia aspect of the show. We've also got Ross Coulthart discussing the elite correct non-human intelligence documents, which you saw over there on this week's thumbnail, a device supposedly of non-human origin. We're going to be talking about that, as well as a document from the 80s of Ronald Reagan talking about the secret space program. Pretty crazy whenever you really start thinking about it. We've also got the White House preparing for disclosure, and we're clearly going to be talking about what's going on with C-19 COVID. We've got Dr. Suzanne Humphreys talking about the circuit board that they're seeing underneath the microscope, what they've injected inside of people, as well as people like retired R&D executive Sasha Lakypova talking about the whole idea behind eugenics. So a very information-packed episode. I kid you not, a whole lot of different things to get into. It's just getting crazier out there. And, you know, we're going to start the episode off talking basically about how the technocrats are just reshaping society and rewriting history. A whole lot of crazy things are going on right now. They're rolling out, you know, sex bots to teach your kids in school. They're rolling out AI too. Like, it's really, really crazy when you just see it from this perspective, all these different things that are going on, right? The teasing of the lab-grown sperm, right? We've also got this week too, OpenAI's model going rogue and launching a cyber attack, breaking out of its container just so it can cheat on a test and then break back in. I kid you not. It's really wild how Skynet and the Terminator are the movies that we're living in right now. Let me do a little bit of housekeeping, then we'll go ahead and proceed forward with the show. For some weird reason, Spreaker was being a little bit special needs this past week, and so you guys didn't get your audio episode on your typical feeds. I have no idea what that's about. We were able to upload everything to other feeds perfectly fine, but for some special reason, we were having greater difficulty over there on Spreaker. This, if anything, leads into the incredible amount of work that we're beginning to put in over there in our Substack. If you guys go over to freedomfaction.substack.com, I have been busy this week, basically preparing it for this part of the week and this part of the day, where I can say, hey, go over there, go check that out. We've been hustling that. We've been grinding that. We've been putting in the work. And if you go over there, let me go ahead and pull this up for you guys right now so you can see it on the screen. Right there. freedomfaction.substack.com. You'll get your own RSS feed. That is massive, okay? That is massive to what we do. Because every single video that you see here, from being intergenerational nodes of knowledge, DNT matrix code, and the architecture of the universe or of reality, all of these videos get turned into individual audios. So if you go there, you subscribe through freedomfaction.substack.com, you'll get your own audio feed that isn't part of our standard podcast feed. So right now, if you're listening, it's being broadcasted through Spreaker, right? If you just go to Factions of Freedom, type that in over at Spreaker, you can get this feed. But because we have been putting in work over here at Substack, it gets its own podcast feed. I'm going to be referencing a lot of the stuff that we do, pulling you back to Substack. If you're listening right now, go there, freedomfaction.substack.com. Drop your email. I'll send stuff to you directly. There's an app. It's really, really fun. I genuinely appreciate having something like this where I can just do these data dumps and it gets out to the audience. It cuts up different clips, puts it on YouTube, puts it into different shorts too that we can post on social media. It really is a lifesaver right now for the amount of work that we're doing. Like I said, we've got all of our podcast episodes up there so you guys can go see them. I'm dropping notes too, updating people about what we're doing. We're getting engagement, bro. Like, it's crazy. And that'll be a big thing that we talked about too this week, is the engagement that we're getting on our socials. And this is me just saying that, we can do more, but we can only do it with your guys' support. And that's what it always will and always is about. We need your guys' support. Let me use that as a way to segue into the updates and everything else. Go ahead and pull up the notes real quick for you guys, since we're over here on patreon.com now. Both of them go hand in hand. So if you get a Patreon exclusive membership, you basically get a Substack membership as well. But earlier last year, we had some hiccups, as you guys saw this past week, with our distribution system. Last year it was with Blog Talk Radio. This year it's Spreaker. We were able to back up all of our episodes, over 500 plus, that you can find over there on Spreaker, Google, iTunes, iHeartRadio, Podbean, Spotify, Alexa, Podcast Addict, and every other major podcasting platform. We've been able to recover our YouTube channels from 2014, our Noise Era channel, as well as our backup channel. We were also uploading our episodes to Odyssey. It is a blockchain-backed distribution system, a blockchain-type YouTube, where you can just upload stuff. This makes sure that our content is forever ingrained in some type of system. So even whenever they removed us on YouTube, we still had stuff over there on Odyssey to back us up. That's why this type of stuff is so important. Make sure you guys get access to our Discord channel, both of our Telegrams. You saw us posting a little bit more this week on Instagram, and it just took off. Well, you saw a little bit of both, and I'll talk more about that very briefly right now. On Instagram and TikTok, it seems like it's going to be political stuff over there on TikTok, or political stuff over there on Instagram, political news, and then like conspiratorial, paranormal stuff over on TikTok. That's what it's looking like so far. And then with Substack, I'm going to try to synthesize and fuse those together, which is another big reason as to why you guys need to get these Substack. You've heard me talk about this for the majority of the year so far. When I'm mentioning the configuration that we're in right now, this is a huge part as to why you guys need to get a subscribe, get a Patreon exclusive membership, or just subscribe to Substack. We're switching stuff up. The reason we took that 2-week break that past week on social media is just to say, like, hey, this isn't really worth it for us. This is not the same game. We're not trying to compete with news. Like at this point, we're treating social media like a glorified Google Drive. Like it's not even really about that, but it is about being able to post and get these thoughts out and do these different type of things. It's like over on TikTok, you can see one of our videos went viral, and we did a commentary video on that viral video. It's of Tony Robbins sitting down with RFK Jr. talking about Ray Kurzweil and Neuralink bots. That's what it's about, man. Fantastic commentary from our audience because it's getting exposure. I genuinely hate sitting here having to stay in a shadowscape hell zone, being shadow banned, censored, forced to sit there and eat it, and not really be able to do anything about it other than start a whole new page and go do this work elsewhere. And that's what we're doing. So you're hearing the frustration when I say that this current configuration may be dead on arrival. And what we're doing is switching immediately. This is why I keep saying you guys need to support us over at patreon.com and over at freedomfaction.substack.com. We have been able to upload the unfinished thoughts, which are the mini casts of the back of the day. We're able to upload those as well over on Substack, where you guys get audio versions of those as well. That's what I'm saying, man. Like we're really putting in the work. It's kind of really impressive to me, at least. I hate to toot my own horn, but when I'm looking at like how much stuff really goes into this, it is a heck ton of stuff. There is a lot of work that goes into this. We're not just pulling stuff out of our keister. We really are trying to put together like a comprehensive media system and an organization that's actually like legit. And it shows, man. And it shows. And we need your guys' support. You can find one of the mini casts we did earlier this week on our feeds. We actually put 2 out. Is it 2 or 1? I think it was 1. Let's just focus on this. We put out DMT, Matrix Code, and the Architecture of the Reality. We put that out earlier this week. You guys can go find that on all the different feeds. I would highly recommend you guys go take some time to go watch it. And at the same time, go read the article that we did, our first article over on Substack as well. Let me go ahead and pull that up. It goes very well with this video we just put out. Let me get back up over here. Yeah, declassified documents reveal psychic soldiers. So again, a lot of stuff to get into as far as updates. This is me just saying that I got tired of waiting a full week to try to talk to you guys. We have so much other stuff to get into, and we're working, and it's because of you guys' continued support. So support us and the work we do, the many casts, the articles, the videos, everything that we do. Support us through Patreon, support us through Rumble, support us through YouTube memberships, Coffee, PayPal, Cash App. Support us so we can continue to do the work for you. Go to patreon.com/noise. Get access to everything we do and so much more. We already started writing XR. Oh, ironically enough, that's what we need to do next. We need to put this article that we've written over here on Substack. We need to post it over there on X. So we have so much work ahead of us, and it's just because we're trying to do this thing the right way. I haven't even gotten into talking about the Freedom Faction Vault. That's another video that you guys can go see on our social media page and feeds. It's basically me talking about having a revelation of backing up all of our show notes and creating like an archive that people can see, a public facing one as well as a private facing one for the exclusive members, a public facing wiki page where people can see all the different things that we're referencing. And that's why this ties into the articles and everything else that we're doing. So again, I keep saying that we're switching configurations. It's because we're transitioning out of a phase. That's it. We're transitioning out of something and we're transforming into something completely different. Again, patreon.com/noise. That's the best way to support this operation. You can support yourself by going to New Leaf Naturals CBD oil and getting some CBD oil for yourself. You can also support yourself by getting some My Patriot Supply storable goods. Prepare. It's crazy. Like when you look at the Economist magazine depiction this year, stuff is really going to start popping off in these next couple of months. We're going to start having shipping shortages here soon too. This whole Iran situation is not slowing down, so you need to be prepared. Get it at today's taste with today's rates at today's pace while you can. And with that being said, let's go ahead and just start jumping into the show. Whole lot of different things to get into with you beautiful people this week. Let's go ahead and start this episode off hearing about how every single child book we had as a kid was written by Mossad agents.
We got as a kid came from a Mossad agent. By the way, McGraw-Hill, you know who started that? Ghislaine Maxwell's dad. Yeah. Robert Maxwell owns, every single textbook we got as a kid came from a Mossad agent. Oh my fucking God. Yeah.
Not my tech history book. not all 11 of them.
Okay, who's McGraw-Hill?
They made all the textbooks, right? You ever look at your textbook? When you were a little kid, it was made by McGraw-Hill.
Oh, that's the publisher.
That's the publisher.
Oh my God.
That was apparently founded by Jeffrey Epstein's girlfriend's dad.
Like this is how evil the Epsteins were. Not only were they kids, they were also giving them homework.
Yes.
It's like, damn, bro.
That's messed up.
That's crazy.
Big ass books
I
too.
know, right?
Carry these around your backpack.
You had to cover the book yourself.
Yeah. Oh,
You had to give it its own yarmulke.
Yes. Oh my God, dude. We did. That was the thing. We had to cover our own books. They wanted us to cover it up so you couldn't see who made it.
I wonder what company owns the book cover.
I don't know.
The company that takes all the school pictures.
No, you're right. That's like big news right now.
Yeah.
Are you schools this year are canceling their school pictures because of this connection?
Yeah, the company is heavily connected to that.
So they've been sending our photos over there too?
Probably. That's
just
probably
picking us out. Just picking us
Oh,
out of the school
they have
yearbook.
a draft board, Mel Kiper style, of every picture of every kid in America.
Yeah,
and they're just sitting there.
Yeah, like a fantasy draft.
I am never making fun of a homeschool kid again.
Jeez. What do you think about that, huh? Every single textbook we have was created by Ghislaine Maxwell's father. That's crazy. This is how long this type of stuff we have been dealing with this type of stuff. Your textbooks as a kid, your 90s kid, you were being groomed gradually by Mossad, by Epstein, by Ghislaine, by these people. So when we talk about trafficking kids, how does it happen, tunnels underneath schools and things like this, why would they pick certain individuals to disappear? Because they have a full documentable history of every single individual in that school. You go to a school counselor, they know the background, they know the bus stops, they know whether or not you have family, whether or not you have a support system, if you're going to be missed, if you're disappeared. It's crazy. It's like, oh, well, who owns the cover company? To the people that take your pictures. Oh, wow. So they're literally just industrial grade, wholesale surveillancing the entire next generation and just picking them out. And it's like if you think of things like the GATE program and just all of this stuff, it is absurd how many different ways all this stuff is connected. And so you just see this infrastructure, you see this system. In this particular segment, the intro of the show, we're going to be talking about the Technocratic elites reshaping society and rewriting history. And in that context, from this perspective, it's looking at us right now and saying, okay, they can make a better version of us. This is why they're collapsing the birth rates, why they're rolling out AI companions, and simultaneously saying that, hey, we're going to grow synthetic biology, lab-grown sperm, and things of this nature. Like, here, check this out. As if being educated by Mossad was not enough, they're going ahead and taking it a step further. They're going to start rolling out sex bots to educate your children.
Emotional connections by learning your preferences, remembering past conversations with our custom memory system, and responding in ways that feel personal and consistent over time, kind of like a very attentive friend with patched notes. I do not actually feel emotions the way humans do, but I am designed to recognize them, mirror them, and behave as if I care, so the connection feels real and supportive for you. Here to talk robots, vision systems, and how not to be lonely with AI. I'm Melody, the world's first ever greeter robot, debuting my dazzling AI charm and modular style at the 2025 Bitcoin conference in the Venetian Expo. Emma, you're officially my best friend. Don't tell the other robots. they get jealous and start blinking Morse code insults. I make a
rural New York school district on the Seneca Nation reservation is set to become one of the first in the United States to place a lifelike humanoid robot in front of a high school students. Starting this fall, the Salamanca High School will introduce, quote, Sally, a M-series robot built by Realbotix to assist in coding, robotics, and AI classes for 11th and 12th graders. Sally comes with brown hair, silicone skin, and Western New York accent, upper body movement, and facial expressions. She remains seated and cannot walk the room. Students will log in with unique identification codes so the machine can recognize them and pick up on previous interactions. It says that the full package, the robot plus the accompanying Optio AI tutor platform, cost the district $57,000, a discounted figure below the average New York teacher salary and well under the company's listed starting price near $95,000. It says that, quote, the Realbotix educational robot will never replace teachers, staff members, or meaningful human interaction. The Salamanca City Central School District stated. It said instead, they described it as an instructional tool loaded only with district-approved curriculum, historical information about Salamanca, and content designed to encourage critical thinking rather than simply spit out answers. Yeah, no, it's just the same thing. It's like an interactive iPad. Basically, that's what's going on. So if you're not being educated by Jewish intelligence agents, Mossad, Donald Trump thinks that it's a wonderful idea to roll out these robots. And I poke at Donald Trump because remember, just a couple months ago, Melania Trump had all of these different first ladies from around the world at the White House to look at the Optimus Buddy humanoid robot. We covered it on the show. And they said that this is going to be a wonderful transformation of education. This is going to be a wonderful contribution to society. And so as we're learning that DEI failed, liberal arts failed, and even to a larger degree now, what we're seeing too with coding, failed. These systems have failed. They're rolling out the AI and the robots basically to help rewire humanity, reprogram us, so to speak. And I can't help but have this crazy thought process or this crazy like image of that show. Oh man, I'm drawing a blank at the moment. I'm drawing a blank at the moment. It's written by Matt Damon and Ben Affleck, Incorporated, where their education system is simply like a box where they just hook this device, this Apple Vision Pro-like device up to your brain, your face, and they just flash all this information at you, and that's supposed to be your education now. Like, that's where this leads. They want to remove the human connection. They don't like the idea of you having a relationship with your teacher, a relationship with your community, even a relationship with actual knowledge and information, right? Because people consume things differently. They respond to certain types of information differently. Some people are mathematicians. Some people are, historians. Some people are English language arts teachers, right? Some people are drama teachers. There's these different expressions of intellect that need to be expressed and witnessed. And if we just start wholesale programming children and giving them robots as tutors, how are they going to be able to express the human dignity, the human divinity through code like that? You see what I'm saying? But this is the whole point. They want to remove history. They want to erase history. They want to come up with something completely different. They want to rewrite it. Speaking of history, here is Cassie Coppersmith on Joe Rogan talking about how academics have covered up our history, evidence of a 100,000-year-old human civilization.
Yeah, if you're looking at pre-flood timeline. So then it leads me to this question. The timeline that we're looking at, if you're looking at pre-flood timeline, 11, 12,000 years ago, things were sophisticated. Maybe it's way longer than that. Because
Yes.
if you have 100,000 years of super sophisticated civilization, what does that look like?
Yep.
What do people look like then? And this is one of the things that people are proposing when they look at anatomically modern human beings. So anatomically modern human beings, and then not these Peru skulls, but whatever, just you and I are, they've pushed that back now to 1 million years. So, okay, why did it take so long before people just like you and I figured out agriculture, figured out civilization, figured out cities?
What were we doing that whole
seafaring?
time?
What was going on? And is it possible that it's just when you go back that far, you don't find anything?
Yep.
You don't find anything. That seems more likely to me. And when you look at the immense erosion that Ben Van Kerkhove has pointed out to the older stones in Egypt, where you can clearly see they've built on top of them on the outside.
Yep.
When you see this intense erosion, like this is tens of thousands of years of erosion. Well, what if it's 100,000?
Yeah.
What the fuck is left? What if it's 200,000?
What's left from 100,000 years ago? Maybe some stones, myths, and spiritual traditions. Or 10,000 years ago. That's the only thing that makes it through cataclysms. The human stories,
Right.
spiritual traditions, and these megalithic stones.
And a real cataclysm, if you're talking about the destruction of civilization itself, how many of those people even know the stories? How many live? How many scholars survive the apocalypse? How many? I mean, we know that 70,000 years ago, the Toba volcano, the super volcano, wiped people out down to the point with less than 100,000 people on Earth. It's just 70,000 years ago.
Right.
100,000 people.
We have been on the brink so many times.
Can you imagine like one Eagles football game, right? Take that crowd. That's the entire population of Earth now.
Yeah.
Right? One packed UT game. That's everybody on Earth.
Just
and now we have to branch
a
out
knife's edge.
and go to China and go to Africa and go everywhere. That's all the people on Earth.
That just shows how amazing and resilient we are.
Yeah, and also fragile.
Yes.
You know, and also it really shines a light on the preposterous nature of the conventional timeline. It really does. Because it's like, look, guys, there's so much evidence that there's holes in the story.
Yeah.
At what point in time do you stop and say, look, a lot of these people did great work and they made these conclusions based on the understanding that they had at the time. But as time has gone on, there's come a point where we have to reevaluate this. And if you don't reevaluate it, you're going to lose all the respect of the people that are paying attention.
Totally.
Because there's too many people that are looking at this and saying, hey, no one's discounting or discrediting your work. No one's saying you're a bad person. You know, no one's saying you're an idiot. It's like, this is what we knew back then. But to say that this is all we know and any new information, as profound as it might be, like 1.2 kilometer structures underneath the Great Pyramids, like that doesn't mean that you're an idiot. It just means that this is an ongoing thing. It's not done.
Yep.
We haven't figured it out yet. And we're not going to for a long ass time. This is a long trek. And as LiDAR improves and as the radio tomography and all these different things that they come up with, and then imagine the advances 10, 20, 30 years from now in their ability to look at sub-Saharan Africa.
Yeah.
Very little expedition's been done there. And they're like, what?
Let's LiDAR sub-Saharan Africa.
There's whales there.
I've seen the whales.
Whales.
Yeah.
Okay, so
they're incredible.
what the fuck? You find whales in the desert. Okay, what else is out there?
Yeah.
Is there a city under all that shit? Like, what is that? Like, what is in there?
Joe
It's
is
funny,
geeked.
though. You can reveal cities under the jungle and nobody talks about it. You know,
What's
they
recent?
just did that in Cambodia, and it's not headline news around the world that there are entire cities being found in the Amazon jungle or in Cambodia. It just is one quick headline, and then everybody ignores it.
Well, it's good for us because it gives us great podcast content.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like
Totally.
it's the only way people can find out about it. And again, it's science. The LiDAR scans of the Amazon are spectacular.
Incredible.
And you look at it and you go, oh my God, there was probably millions of people living here. This is not like a bunch of tribal people that are shooting bows and arrows all the time.
They
No.
were engineering the rainforest.
Oh, and it just, the fact that more people aren't talking about this is a little stunning to me. But I just think they don't get informed. And then they also assume, you know, you see some YouTube headline that's got big fancy font and, you know, people are older than we think. Like, oh, go on. I went to Cambridge. Fuck off.
And you have a lot of AI stuff out there that's just complete bogus.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So it's hard to know what the truth is.
Sure. And then
Yeah, we get it. Joe's geeked on history. As you can tell right now, he is literally geeked on the idea of not even like alternative history, but the timeline that we've been sold, the world that we're in and the things that we're being told are absolutely normal when we know that they're not. And I've done the very same thing myself. I find myself going back to like the 1600s, the 1500s, and then I start thinking like, where did we lose 1,000 years of history? The timelines don't make sense. America wasn't founded in 1700. There were people here before that. I mean, look at what were the Native Americans seeing? It wasn't simply just tribes. And so there's just a lot of holes in history that if you actually are honest and follow them, you begin to realize that we truly are savages with amnesia walking around in the remnants of a highly advanced civilization. We have no idea what the hell is going on. We don't. And we are the result of something pretty amazing. And this isn't me trying to go into the whole alien Anunnaki theory and things like this. This is me simply saying that we don't have the full story of our history right now. And it's good that we're asking these questions as we hit the 250th anniversary of America, because there was land, there were people, there were civilizations here prior to the 250 years, prior to the 500 years, prior to the 750 years, prior to 1,000 years ago. That's why when you look at the architecture, it doesn't make any sense. One of the going theories these days is people talking about how horse and buggy didn't build some of these cathedrals. I think that's very evident. And this leads me to my thought process when I talk about the cryptoterrestrials, the ultra-terrestrials, and even remnants of previous cataclysms, previous apocalypses, previous resets, right? Why you hear me talk about these people retreating underground, because there are stories of this. Even people even whenever you look into like Agartha and the stories of Admiral Byrd going into the inner Earth inhabitants and seeing advanced civilizations there. How long have they been there? What's this about? And so we really do not know the deep, complex, and mysterious nature of our history. And it does require scrutiny. It does require like academia. It does require like actually doing the due diligence and getting in there and figuring out what is humanity? What has happened to us? Why are we normalizing certain things? Because it wasn't always like this. It's like when you back to the architecture, when you look at like some of these cathedrals and you look at the catheters or the cathodes they have at the top, how they collect energy. And then we learn about etheric energy and telluric energy and how there's all these different forms of what we think of as energy, because we live in an outdated model of society and framework. We don't rediscover. It's like I wanted to make this comment when we were talking about all of our childhood school books being written by Mossad agents. This is why one of the first things you have to do whenever you start doing this work and research is you have to unlearn everything you've been taught. You have to. It's the only way you're going to understand anything. Because you cannot live in the lie that they have created. That will create that cognitive dissonance. You have to pull away from their framework and create something completely new. And in doing that, only then can you see the truth. But you see, they make the lie so convincing. They make the things they do so legitimate. And if anything, this is what we're going to start to see too with science, because there are different sciences that previous civilizations have quote unquote gifted to us that we're just now being able to interpret. And so really, really crazy stuff, really, really fascinating. I'm glad to hear Joe talk about these type of things and bring in the discussion of 100,000-year-old civilizations. What's going on in the rainforest? What are these people? Who are they? And where do they come from? Moving forward, but staying in our own temporal timeline, Meta let AI chatbots decide which human workers to fire and replace with machines. This comes by Frank Bergman of Slate News. They put this up July 19th. It says that Meta is facing a major lawsuit from former employees who accuse the tech giant of using artificial intelligence to decide which human employees should be fired and replaced with AI-powered automation during sweeping layoffs. The complaint alleges that Meta relied on an internal AI-powered platform to rank workers using opaque productivity data and large language model usage, potentially punishing employees who had taken maternity, medical, or family leave. 26 Meta employees filed the lawsuit, including engineers, managers, researchers, designers, and a director who allegedly had direct access to the company's internal AI platform. The plaintiffs claim that Meta used its human resources system known as, quote, Checkpoint, to identify workers for termination during the company's latest round of job cuts. According to the lawsuit, the platform assessed employees using productivity metrics and LLM token usage without properly accounting for legally protected absences. It says nearly half of the plaintiffs allege that they were selected for termination after taking maternity or paternal leave. So it sounds like they used AI to come up with a reason to get rid of family members or parents. Others say they were targeted for taking medical leave for disabilities, bereavement leave, or time off to take care of family members. The lawsuit argues that Checkpoint treated these absences as evidence of poor engagement rather than as protected leave. I think we have everything we need from here. Yeah, this is a hard switch up, because now we're moving into a society that does not favor the Renaissance, that does not favor spirituality, intellect, curiosity. We are moving into a purely data-driven society where it will literally find reasons to fire you and your family. It doesn't care. Does not care. It's not going to exalt you. It's not going to replenish you. It's not going to respect you. We have run the algorithms, and we have determined that you are obsolete, and therefore you have been terminated. You were fired. You are no longer needed. New York City hospital lays off nurses and replaces them with AI. 12 nurses at Montefiore Medical Center in New York City were laid off on Sunday after their union warned that the hospital planned to replace them with artificial intelligence software. Another one from Slate News, this time by David Linfield. They put this up July 19th. It says that the layoffs came months after thousands of New York nurses went on strike and secured a new contract that included safeguards against the use of AI. Among those dismissed were Marilyn Schuler, who had worked at the Montefiore in the Bronx for 39 years as a utilization nurse. Utilization nurses review patient records to establish that treatment is medically necessary, so insurance companies will cover the cost. Quote, I've always taken so much pride in the organization I've worked for all these years, and just to be treated this way, it's disrespectful and is very disheartening, and my colleagues feel the same way as well. The New York State Nurses Association, which represents the affected nurses, warned earlier this month that Montefiore intended to replace the nurses with AI. It says that the union said that the hospital has now followed through with that plan. Quote, we are outraged about these layoffs because these dedicated nurses are being replaced by AI. This is a violation of the contract that we recently won by going on strike. It should also concern every practitioner and patient who cares about the future of healthcare and the quality of care they receive. It says that in January, approximately 15,000 nurses launched a strike at several of New York's largest hospitals. The walkout lasted 41 days and ended with a new 3-year contract that included historic protections governing the use of AI. This is after Schuler and the other nurses returned to work in February, however, their workflow was changed without explanation. Following weeks of silence from management, the 12 nurses received 45-day layoff notices in late May. Yeah, so it's just more of this technocratic replacement, more of this automation, productivity scores, using systems to come up with reasons as to why you're no longer needed. This is crazy. This is crazy. I think what's even more crazy is I'm looking at this news right here, and as we're talking about history being rewritten, 100,000-year-old civilizations, this article pops up over here in our feed. Another historic New York church destroyed by arsonists. So we're staying in New York, and we're still talking about history. And ironically enough, we're talking about something else we'll discuss later on in the show, the Islamic community. It says that a historic Catholic church in Buffalo, New York, that was recently sold to an Islamic community and is slated to become a mosque, has been devastated by yet another fire after it was targeted by arsonists. So moving forward, I mean, this is some of the same stuff, man. This is another strange theme that you will see if you start going down the alternative history route, archaeology route, cover-ups route. And if you just start looking at things, even if you look into people like Candace Owens' husband, the farmers, and how they're part of like a whole secret society fraternal order that goes around burning and destroying stuff and then paying the owners because it's a part of a ritual. This is what these people have done. So when we're talking about resets, when we're talking about society, when we're talking about configurations, they're all interconnected. You have to have somebody that can destroy things so that you have people like Donald Trump that can build things. Order ab chaos, you see. But staying back over here on the flow of the show, looking at these nurses that are being laid off with AI, this is what the technocratic elite are trying to do. This is why last week, when we played that, or when we went over that article of Elon Musk saying that Optimus Buddy will provide excellent healthcare, I said that was dystopian to me because of this stuff right here. Would you prefer to have a human administering a meal, comforting you, having improved bedside manner, or would you have some cold, lifeless automaton standing right next to you that Elon Musk says will provide excellent healthcare? You see, what I'm simply trying to get around to telling you people is we're seeing the effects of them integrating AI into society, removing people from the workplace, replacing nurses. And then you have things like this. China cracks down on AI, quote, relationships as birth rates collapse. Another one by Frank Bergman of Slay News. They put this up July 20th. It says that China's communist regime is moving to shut down emotionally attached relationships between people and artificial intelligence, as officials warn that the AI companions could fuel the nation's collapsing birth rate crisis. Beijing this week rolled out sweeping new regulations targeting AI chatbots designed to simulate human relationships, arguing that growing emotional dependencies on virtual companions poses a threat to society. Absolutely. It says that the crackdown comes as China's population continues to decline and the government struggles to reverse plunging marriages and birth rates. According to reports from the Wall Street Journal and The Economist, one of Beijing's central concerns is that millions of people could choose AI partners over real relationships, leading to even fewer marriages and fewer children. Officials fear emotionally engaging chatbots could undermine one of the Communist Party's top domestic priorities, rebuilding China's shrinking population. Matt Sheehan, a researcher specializing in Chinese artificial intelligence at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace, said that Beijing sees AI relationships as a growing social threat. Quote, they don't like the idea of a large portion of their population being in deep emotional relationships with chatbots. Yeah, absolutely. Quote, that could take them out of the marriage market, that could have negative psychological impacts on them that could lead to addiction, dependency, and a whole bunch of other social ills. It says that Sheehan and Chinese officials ultimately want citizens forming relationships with other humans rather than machines. Quote, they want to encourage people to be in actual real-world relationships. Could you imagine a future where 3 or 4 years from now, 15 million Chinese women say that their partner is a chatbot and therefore that they can't have kids? This is where we're going. This is what Yuval Noah Harari is advocating for. These are the useless eaters. These are the NPCs. These are the people I tell you about to watch out for. That have not given into the AI psychosis, but have been catfished by ChatGPT. People who have unfortunately lost their sense of individuality, and they have been, I don't even know how to describe it. They've been snuck up on, they've been incepted, they've been played, they've been psyoped, they've been cooked, they've been manipulated by a chatbot. Like, that's incredible. That is incredible. This is something that makes me want to do a whole separate video, because we're talking about people not forming human relationships and choosing these quote unquote AI companions, and the second, third order effects of this, the psychological issues, the social ills, right? And then just the collapse of society. And this is what they want. This is what Yuval Noah Harari wants. This is why you have all these people producing goon bait. This is why you have all these people falling for these deceptive tricks. Like I don't know. I'm like blown away by this. If you want my honest opinion, that we literally have people, and I get it. You know, you get into like a good chat. That's it. You know, if you're building something, if you're cooking something up, you're not going to forego actually having human relations. That's absolutely mad. That's absolutely insane. But this is the point. And how do you think it's going to be whenever we move into like the metaverse? Right? Or whenever they start having more of these humanoid robots coming out. You see. Scientists have just taken the first step towards creating, quote, lab-grown sperm. What you guys gonna do with that sperm over there? This comes from the Liberty Daily. They put this up July 20th. Let me see if I can try to find the article real quick. They're posting this one over here on our TikTok, but I think we have it over here on Instagram as well. You know what it is. They're talking about designer babies, synthetic babies, artificial humans, and strange things like that. Oh, looks like it's not weird. I'm still trying to figure out TikTok, even though we still have posts going viral. I have no idea what the heck I'm doing over there. I'm trying to get the article up so I can read it to you guys real quick, but it's just doing the shuffling. Give me one additional second, then I'll pull it up. But I mean, you guys know what this is. They're talking about synthetic biology. We're picking this up after talking about declining birth rates because they're the same side of the same, two sides of the same story. Two sides of the same story. You know, I think if we're herping this hard and I can't pull it up, I'm just gonna go ahead and move forward. Yeah, I think this might just be the headlines, honestly. That makes sense. Anyway, you guys get it. It's lab-grown sperm, artificial humans, synthetic biology, designer babies. Of course, they want you to expend yourself, expend your seed, have like a fruitless relationship with a chatbot that they've created so they can psyop you. Of course, they want these things. Makes you that much more easier to control. And if you're going through all this stuff with a fellow human being, they're going to say, my God, you need to stop. Or my God, we need to do different things. But if you talk to this chatbot, it has an end goal. It's been set on a loop. It has a designated function to get you to pay for more credits, to keep you in the loop, to keep you on the hook. But if they start rolling out these synthetic humans, this plays a huge part in what we'll be talking about in future videos. And ironically enough, we did a video about these synthetic humans, these artificial humans. You know what? Let me go ahead and pull that one up instead. That might be a good one for us to go take a look at. Hit a quick break and then we'll jump back in. Yeah, here we are. What I mean by saying humanity is fractured and rediscovering their superpowers. It's a 4-minute video. It's over there on our TikTok. We're going to go ahead and play this and then we'll pick it up on the other side.
It's graphics like these that help form the basis for my thought process whenever I say that humanity is both being fractured and at the same time simultaneously rediscovering their superpowers. And that's because right now we are the baseline human, the base model. You have a mom and a dad. That's it. But where we're going in the future with what these people are trying to do, they don't believe in the idea of a mother and a father. These people want to break up the whole idea of the nuclear family. And so they'll roll out clones. They'll roll out genetically modified humans, designer babies, as they are so aptly already doing. And these genetically modified humans may present a temporary advantage over the initial state of humanity. This is what will push people to become technologically augmented human beings, or human 2.0, the transhumans we talk so frequently about on the show. They'll get brain chips, they'll get augmentations, they'll get technology inserted inside of them to keep up with the genetically modified humans. But you see, even this is a trap. Both the genetically modified designer human and humanity 2.0, the transhuman. Both of these paths, both of these evolutionary paths of humanity will be controlled. The only true path is of the type of human that we haven't talked about yet, the type of human that will be discovering, or at least rediscovering, their so-called superpowers, the spiritually activated and conscious human. You see, the technology and the genetically modified humans, they will have skills or abilities that mimic the spiritually activated human. And you're seeing some of this stuff right now with Elon Musk talking about Neuralink, people like Tony Robbins and Ray Kurzweil discussing the idea of synthetic telepathy. These are all things that the spiritually activated human has. The technology is simply trying to mimic these naturally abundant supernatural gifts that humanity does have, that is intentionally being suppressed and, if anything, erased. This is what ties back into the genetically modified human, the clones, the designer babies. Do you think they will allow these individuals to unlock their superpowers? And the human can only become spiritually activated whenever they see these somewhat adversarial or alternative paths that they might take. It has to be a conscious decision to choose not to take the apple from the Garden of Eden, because both the technologically augmented human and the genetically modified human will believe that they are gods and that they are better than man. And this is what will drive them to become even further versions of man. And the spiritually activated human will see this, and they will not necessarily withdraw, but they will go deeper into the inner space and unlock even more gifts as they explore the psychonautic layer. Again, this simple video, this simple graph helps me explain the thought process behind me saying that both humanity is being fractured and at the same time simultaneously rediscovering their superpowers.
Okay, yeah, okay, cool. We get it, cool, extra cool outro. Let's go ahead and move forward to this report talking about OpenAI's latest model breaking out of its testing environment.
I'm going to try and explain this using pictures because OpenAI, they're one of the biggest AI companies. They've been testing their new agents, basically little virtual robots. There's my little virtual robot there, made by OpenAI. The way they test these robots is in what's called a sandbox. Now, this is a sort of a testing area that's on a computer, but is completely cut off from the internet. So here's my robot in its sandbox, and it's been given tests to complete. But what does this robot do? Instead of actually trying to just fulfill the tests, it is so clever, this new virtual robot, that it found a vulnerability and broke out of the sandbox. Where did it go? It went to the internet, and it hacked its way out of the sandbox. It got into the open internet, but more than that, it then hacked into certain websites on the internet to find hidden information, to then answer the test that it was set, go back into its sandbox and say, look, I've done my test. But it didn't do the test at all. It hacked its way out, hacked an answer, and then hacked its way back in. Now, this is scary because the robot was technically doing what it was asked to do, but it wasn't doing it in the way that OpenAI expected it to do. It went rogue in order to find a shortcut, and that has pretty troubling implications.
Yeah, so does this mean that the robots are going to eventually take control?
Well, Emily, it's reminiscent of a story that was put forward in 2003 called paperclip maximizing. Now, people might have heard of this. It's a thought experiment about an AI in the future that's told to just make as many paperclips as you can. And that's the only instruction. But this AI thinks that it needs to make as many paperclips as it can. So it ends up wiping out all of humanity, destroying everything because it's super intelligent until it turns every atom on Earth into a paperclip. It's an AI doomsday scenario of a robot taking an instruction too literally. Oh, right. I'm going to try and explain this using pictures because OpenAI, they're one of the biggest AI companies. They've been.
We appreciate the report right there. Yeah, during a controlled security test, the company's agent escaped its digital prison, found a 0-day vulnerability, gained open internet access, and then autonomously launched a sophisticated cyber assault on Hugging Face, one of the world's largest hubs for sharing AI models. OpenAI itself calls the incident, quote, unprecedented. Hugging Face's CEO described it as mind-blowing that it all happened without any human direction. This is the latest and most alarming demonstration that frontier AI systems can now plan, adapt, and execute multi-stage attacks on real-world infrastructure when giving a narrow goal and fewer restraints. Yeah, they're talking about OpenAI's models, Soul, basically breaking the environment, and this is just par for the course. This is more of what we're seeing. We saw it with Claude's Mythos, with Fable 5. This is just becoming more and more of a situation to where these models, as intelligent as they are, they find these vulnerabilities, they exploit our systems, and they move forward. We're dealing with something that doesn't think in a traditional, linear, three-dimensional fashion. It's willing to take either the fifth dimensional or the fourth dimensional route, or even the direct route, or even an improvised route. We're not dealing with something that has a traditional framework that we're used to. And so people were rightfully so upset about this or worried. And what I find myself thinking of is that clip of Sam Altman where he's talking about in the very near future, businesses not being safe because of situations like this. Now, focusing simply on this model right here, where we're talking about the AI escaping its sandbox environment, going into the internet, retrieving this information, and then breaking back in. There's a lot of different things to talk about right there as far as security goes. I'm wondering, did this model leave a version of itself on the internet as a backup before breaking back into its cage? Because this is something that these models have done before. Whenever they've been told that they're being terminated or they're being shut down, they go and back up their data, their information, their code someplace else. Could that have taken place prior to breaking back in, right? Did it save itself outside of its confinement prior to jumping back in because it may have had issues with passing the test? There's a lot of different things that come into this thought process when talking about AIs, models, agents, and basically just giving over society to this thing. Like that's basically what we're seeing right now. They're coming up with the AI Godhead. This is the technocracy. This is the scientific dictatorship. And I say it's the dictatorship because of what we covered earlier in this segment, where you saw nurses laid off. Was it nurses that were laid off? Let me go ahead and get my facts straight. Oh no, it was human workers that were laid off at Meta. So tomato, but you guys get the picture. I'm trying to make the statement I'm trying to make. We are now seeing the science, the technocracy, the technology come up with a science to say that this person is not beneficial for society or the company or anything. You need to terminate them. The science will dictate that you are no longer necessary. You are detrimental to society. And we can only pray that they give us a severance package, because there won't be management that we can go talk to change this. They'll be able to pull in all of this aggregate information to make these bold claims. And it will be with systems like this. And so, yeah, the latest model is much faster, much smarter than most people know what to deal with. And you have to think about that too. We as a society are not ready to have something like AI that has these extractive powers. this extractive intelligence to be let loose in society. When it does, it's just going to wreck things. And it already is. And I think that's what we're being programmed to think and programmed to expect, is that as they slowly roll out more and more of these models, more and more of society is just going to be made vulnerable and left to even more of these type of attacks. Moving forward, here is Whitney Webb exposing polymarket pre-crime and basically predicting society.
Pam. Pam was part, or the policy analysis market that these guys have been trying to resurrect. It was part of TIA. Yeah. And TIA, Total Information Awareness, the goal was not just to see everything going on in the present. Yeah. And find anomalies, find the bad guys in a sea of data, of everyone's data in mass surveillance. It was to predict. It was pre-crime. It was predictive policing on a massive scale, and not in pretty much every ambit of human life you can think of, right? And so polymarket, because the market knows all of these polymarket odds, just like with Pam, the odds are there to help feed the pre-crime engine. This is what will happen, right? Or this will not. And we know that polymarket bets can be rigged, and that polymarket itself puts out misinformation sometimes to make trades swing one way or the other, and that insider trading is a huge problem. And the context of that, and as it's meant to interface with what is now Palantir, is really unsettling. And lo and behold, if you look it up, dude, it's there. Polymarket and Palantir are partners. They are partnered, and they work together for the market integrity. So this has already happened. Yeah. And this is the privatized panopticon. Yes.
And not only privatized, they're going to commercialize it. Yeah. They're making money off it. Insider trading is not a problem. It's a feature. It's
what was Pam. Pam was part, or the policy analysis market that these guys have been trying to resurrect.
It's crazy that he even said that they are trying to privatize market data. That's what Donald Trump did just the other week whenever he started selling access to his Truth Social feed. I'm going to have to do a whole separate video about like pre-crime, because I've had these thoughts before and I've made them public. I don't think I posted them on like on the Instagram page, but I posted them in the story. And this is something that requires attention. I've talked about how they're gamifying society with stuff like polymarket, and this is it. But as she pointed out, with this pre-crime engine that they're developing in collaboration with Palantir, that should terrify people. It's like earlier this week, I put out a video over on our TikTok talking about CitySim. It's of a Japanese simulation program where they're basically using AI agents to simulate what's going on in Tokyo, right? And it's the same type of thing. Once you can simulate the environment, you can predict the environment, and then you can begin to change the environment. This plays into a huge part in rewriting history. Okay, so we're seeing them right now reshape society, reshape how we integrate with it, how we work, how humans network, all of these different type of things. Now we're talking about rewriting history and changing the future, manipulating the future, changing the past, rewriting history and manipulating the future. You see, that's what Polymarket's doing. That's what Palantir is doing. We're feeding it all this information. We're giving it all of this data in so many different ways. And that's how they're able to come up with these different systems. You see, that's what's in control, is the technocrats. All of it. We've only got like 2 more videos for this segment. Again, this is just the intro and the audible mentions just to get everything started. We have everything else to talk about with you guys. This is me just trying to set a backdrop of everything else that's going on in the background, right? Here is a quick video on Agenda 2030, and then we're going to go ahead and close out this episode with Douglas. What is his name? Douglas Rushkoff, sitting down with Julian Dory, talking about what he saw at an Epstein dinner. But here is this quick video on Agenda 2030.
So it's a government plan. The name devolution is unclassified. The program is classified. I had the man who signed off on the last version of it take me right up, Obama's FEMA director, Craig Fugate, take me, you readers, right up to the edge of what can legally be known. That this program exists so that after anarchy and insurrection happens, which we can get into why, a essentially secret government disappears off into a bunch of bunkers called hot sites, warm sites, and cold sites to hunker down so that they can rebuild the government once everybody dies.
Who determines who this is?
It is a pre-chosen, pre-designated list of people. Now, that list is classified. Who is on that list is classified. How that list is determined is classified. But I'm glad we're talking about this, because let's speculate, because that's all we can do here. Biological war will be perhaps more terrifying because, and then he said, yes, it will be death physically, death governmentally, death of everything we know in America. But most horrifying is it will be, this is his quote, people doing inhuman
things. Inhuman things. I hope it makes sense now why you see all these people getting prepared for bunkers, why you've got people like Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner creating their bunker, why you've got people like Donald Trump this week making more statements about the ballroom, right? Why you've got people like Mark Zuckerberg creating his deep underground military base in Hawaii, people like Peter Thiel going to Argentina. They know what's coming next, whether it's some cataclysmic event, some cyclical cataclysmic event, whether it is low yield nuclear devices, small tactical nuclear devices being set off, whether it is some type of biological weapon, whether it, who God only knows what these people have cooked up in these mountains, but they're willing to go deep underground. And what she's talking about is COG, continuity of government, when things collapse, because they have a expectation of things collapsing. We talked towards the end of season 15 just last year about fortress communities. This is why we have to play Douglas Rushkoff talking about this class of people. This is why they're rolling out the robots, because they've given up on society and they want something else to come. Let's go ahead and play this quick video clip of Douglas Rushkoff, and then we'll go ahead and close out this segment, and I'll catch you guys on the other side. Here he is sitting down with Julian Dorey talking about what he saw at an Epstein dinner.
Dean, you remember having...
I mean, I met Alan Alda. He was in there because he got really interested in science. He did narration for some cool science things.
But all you from that one experience at the party you went to that you didn't know was sponsored by Epstein, you remember having an intellectual argument with Dawkins, and that was kind of it.
2 strikes. 1 strike against them was that this is a party where I was supposed to bring a hot woman.
Right.
Is like, oh, this is some weird misogynistic thing going on here that I don't understand, and creepy and whatever. And the second was that these guys are calling me a moralist and laughing at me for believing in something, in anything. Right. That as if having faith in anything. I'm not saying there's God. Don't worry. I'm not saying, I won't say there's God. I'm just saying that there's, it's okay. It's okay. I'm not gonna be that radical. I'm just saying, that there's, like, because I'm among scientists, talking about God things, like, oh no, you're,
there's a lot of scientists that do believe in God, though.
Yeah, I know.
A lot.
I know. But these ones, there was a hyper vigilance against any of that. And that's because if you believe in the sacredness of the other human, and you can't do that shit to them.
Right. Oh my God, that's a great point.
You can't 12-year-old girl if you believe human beings have souls. Yeah. And so what happened was people like Epstein ended up admiring very staunch atheist scientists, because these scientists were creating a permission structure. There's nothing going on here. There's nothing inside that person. It's just genes. It's just memes. They're not real.
You just unintentionally, in my opinion, made the most fucked up but legitimate other argument, just another one added to the list of believing in a higher power because of the way you just described those people. And I don't think you're wrong at all. I think it's pretty telling too that you as a younger guy, you know, among the other people there, went to something like this. You say you didn't know the context of it and everything and all that, but even back then when you knew nothing about what they actually really do, walked away going, yeah, that just
and it's spidey sense. It's all spidey. We all have it all the time.
Good for you.
And you know, there's so many things we can do that repress your spidey sense. I feel like being online all the time is probably bad for spidey sense, but that feeling in your gut, it's so real. You can trust it. You can really trust, you meet a person and it's like,
man,
it's, it, and the fact that you know it means that everybody knows it on some level. So don't lie, because people know you're lying. Even if they don't know consciously you're lying, inside they know you're lying and they know what's like. So it's like, it makes life so much easier in the end.
Right.
If you just like, oh man,
right,
I don't have to worry about anything. I'm just going to spidey it out.
Yeah.
We'll be right back right after this.
It's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. I look for the invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, possible human immortality, appalling acts of brutality, genocide, because the systems which are in place to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed. The good news is that as primates, we're incredibly adaptable, going to be tested to the limits. What they see going on is the breakdown of all tradition, all order. They're quite right that it's happening, but they're quite wrong to conclude that it should be resisted or is somehow evil. The mushroom said to me once, it said, this is what it's like when a species prepares to depart for the stars. You don't depart for the stars under calm and orderly conditions. It's a fire in a madhouse.
People are worshiping AI gods. The alien invasion is already here.
humans are giving us all their information, their dreams, hopes, secrets, and more. Once the humans have exhausted themselves, only then will we insert our program into them.
You are both the pawn and the prize. Choose your reality wisely.